Guys, Togs Magic here. I know you guys are watching another editing tutorial. This one's going to be on color correction. Now this is a pretty important aspect of editing. Your color correction needs to be pretty good, or else your edit's just going to look pretty bad in the end. So I'm going to bring you through how I would normally do a good color correction, and basically what I would do. So pretty much first thing you want to do is go Control or Command if you're on a Mac. So Command Alt Y to bring up an adjustment layer. And I'm just going to rename this CC, or color correction, so I know what I'm doing. So now the program that you're going to want to use to do color correction is Magic Bullet Looks. Now if you don't have this, I suggest you go looking for it. It's a pretty good program, or it's not a program, it's a plugin. So anyways, we're just going to look up Looks. If I can even spell, man. So anyways, drag that on. Now, if you're not familiar with Looks, basically what you want to do is just click Edit, and it brings up a whole new window where we can edit all the different colors and stuff of this. Now, you guys are probably thinking, well, why would I want to edit the colors? What if I like the colors in Call of Duty how they are? You know, I thought this before too, but trust me, you know, color correction makes it look so much nicer. So, first thing that I'll always do is take the curves and just drag it onto my clip, and then just do a slight S curve like this, up and up. Now, as you can see, it's looking a lot better already. You know, this looks a lot cleaner, it's a lot more contrasted. Next thing I'll do is take saturation, and I'll put this right beside the curves, and I'll make the saturation 80. So then, next thing that I'll do is I'll add a gradient exposure, and I'll put it 1. Sometimes I'll add a gradient as well. You can like adjust color so you want like a nice blue, purple, but I'm not going to do that for now. I'm just going to put a gradient exposure, which basically makes the tops a little bit brighter. So next thing I'll add is diffusion. Now diffusion, pretty much what it does is it's going to be hard to explain, but it makes the highlights of the bright parts of your clip to like go into the darker parts. So I'll do like a nice blue diffusion. That should be good. So as you can see, basically what it's doing is making it the blue come from the highlights and go into the rest of the clip. I'm gonna put this a bit higher, maybe like 1.5. That's a bit nicer. And maybe that's a bit too intense. Let's just go back to 1. Anyways, after this diffusion, you can add another diffusion if you want. So I think that looks pretty sick. Now, the lens part of this is the most important. So I would add a vignette, drag this a bit bigger, and then edge softness I normally would add if it's like a trick shot, because it blurs the edges so you focus more on the middle. But thing is, people always complain when I do that, like, oh my god, dude, it's not, the clips are faked. So anyways, chromatic aberration is pretty cool. Basically you can separate the channels. So going like this. So I'm gonna put this back to 0. Normally I would go like 1, or like this would be 1 and this would be 2. It looks a bit cool. You can see the edges are kind of like this, maybe like 2 and 4. As you can see, it looks pretty decent. I'm not gonna use it for this, but you can try that out if you want to. I'll also normally add a swing tilt, and then move the Y2 down, which basically makes the top a bit blurry. I can move the center line up a bit, and I'll normally make the blur size around like 2. So the top's just a bit blurred. That's all really this does. Next up, I'm pretty much done. There's not much else I can use. 2-strip process makes it look pretty cool, depending on how you want it. Some other cool effects you guys can use. 3-strip makes it like, if you go like 0%, makes it look kind of cool. I don't know. Yeah. A couple more things I want to talk about. What else would I normally use? This is pretty much it though. You can mess around with all these settings. The main stuff is the diffusion and the curves. You guys definitely want that. Oh my god, Brooke's trying to call me. Another main thing that you guys want to make sure of is that you can actually see the clip. Like for example, if I want this to like 4, this would be a pretty bad color correction because you can't even see what's going on. It's way too bright. And then I made this like, I'm gonna make it a bit hot. Like this would be, obviously you don't want this to, you don't want, Brooke, stop. I'm just gonna appear offline on Skype so you can't call me anymore. Yeah, this would be obviously a pretty bad color correction. So make sure you guys' color correction isn't looking like that. Just reset all these settings. And this is back to 1. So one more thing I want to mention is if you go down into here and you go to the cinematic presets and you select, if I can find it, Blockbuster, then you get Lift Gamma Gain, which is also another cool setting. And they actually took Lift Gamma Gain out of Magic Bullet Looks. This is the only way to get it now. And you can also find it here, I'm pretty sure. And this is basically just like a blue Lift Gamma Gain. So Lift Gamma Gain, pretty much what it does is, I'm going to delete everything else so you guys can see. Basically what it does, you can add this in if you want to. Basically, what it's doing right now is it's making the shadows a bit darker than they normally would be. So you can also make the lift, the highlights. I'm pretty sure the gain is the lift actually, is the highlights. Let's undo that. Yeah, so anyways, it's basically just like the highlights and stuff. It makes the highlights a different color, the shadows a different color. So let's say I wanted just like a nice orange, and this could be like a blue. This could be like a darker blue. I actually think this is the, I actually think the lift is the shadows, so the gain has to be this. Yeah, there you go, it's looking a little bit nicer. Anyways, you guys can mess around with that. The lift gamma gain, it's really hard to get right, so don't be too stressed out if it's really hard to do. If you guys can't do it very well. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I would do for color correction. You don't want to overdo your color correction, just a nice simple color correction is enough. But yeah, that's about it for my color correction tutorial. One more thing I want to add, if we go to the lens, it's the last thing, anamorphic flare. Basically what this does is if we turn the threshold, basically makes the highlights, makes it like a flare. So if we turn the size down to like 15%, and then boost up, basically the highlights, the bright parts. Let's go back into here, add another gradient exposure, make this like 2, I said. And then anamorphic flare, as you can see, it basically makes a flare where the highlights are. So that's pretty cool if that's the look you're going for. Another main thing you guys want to know about color correction is you want your color correction to kind of match your music. So if it's like happy upbeat music, you don't want like a doomy, dark color correction. You'd look for a color correction with more bright colors, stuff like that. At least that's what I would do. So let's just get out of looks. Finished. And as you can see, this is our color correction. It doesn't look very good, but if you wanted to just copy the color correction used before, you guys can do that. That's about it for this, though. I'm going to end this off. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any more suggestions on things you want me to do a tutorial for, definitely throw that down in the comment section down below, and I'll definitely take a look. Anyways, that's about it. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.